Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for the Spice Shark podcast, where we'll be discussing Survivor Kaoh Rong, episode 13. And today, with me, as always, is Mark. Mark, how are you doing today?
I am awake.
And also with us is Aaron. Aaron, how are you doing?
Good.
All right. So, like I said, we're gonna go ahead and discuss episode 13 with me or not with me. There really is not much to talk about with this episode, but we'll see what we thought was interesting, and so let's talk to you guys. Well, thoughts on this particular episode, episode 13, Mark.
Joe gets screen time. Yay!
And Aaron.
Uh, Filler. It was just very phoned in from even the previews. Even the previews said that it was going to be something shocking. And the shocking thing was that what I've known for the entire season, how many medevacs there are going to be. 3.
So I think at the beginning of the season, we all had said that we knew Joe was gonna get medevaced. We just didn't see him taking this long to get medevaced. And so let's just talk about post tribal council. Uh, Ty is kind of not sure what went on because his pretty much his advantage went to waste, and he seems pretty hurt. What do you guys think about his reaction to what he considers a betrayal?
That whole first act of them come back from tribal council, he seemed really like I don't know if it was the edit or, I mean, the way they were showing it, he's just really taken a notch down. Like he's really just fumbling at this point with the game.
Yeah.
He's made so many mistakes.
And I think the biggest problem for Ty was that he had the hidden idol, he had the extra vote, he had all this power, and I think it kind of got to his head a little bit where he thought he was controlling everybody else with all this stuff. But, they definitely had one over him. And he just didn't read the room.
Yeah, and I know from what I've seen on Facebook at least and Twitter and all that, it does look like Ty is losing at least some voter confidence, at least from the fans, that he can make it to the end and win. And it's mainly because of what Jason said last week, was that Ty has been flipping back and forth, and he seems like he's a awesome person and caring person, but I don't think he is made for this game as much as other people are, because he struggles at times with flipping, but then he does flip. It took Aubrey to talk to him and just say you don't want to be with those people, but then he betrayed he's betrayed at least 2 times, 3 times, different people. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, most of the time when I see someone in Survivor who is very sensitive, who is very, like Ty, they're not usually great Survivor players. They're not made for the game, at least the way the game is, when it comes to lying and backstabbing and jumping from alliance to alliance. And we saw that this week, where Ty is really upset at, he feels hurt by Aubrey because Aubrey didn't go with him, but really he's been doing the same thing. So that, like you said, I think what Aaron said was, it's showing him as he's losing points. I think, for me, at least for me, as a winner of the season, and he's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna win the season.
He just seems like the kind of guy, like, and some discussions were going on within POS. Like, somebody was convinced, if he goes, if he's in any any final scenario, if he's at the final tribal council, he'll win. Yeah, if it were the internet deciding, then probably yes. But
Hmm.
he does seem. I just don't see him winning, but it's hard to. I forget how. There's like so many negatives in this sentence. You just don't see somebody as likable as him. It's really hard to imagine someone as nice as him losing.
I feel like he might make it to the end, and he's gonna get slaughtered at Final Tribal Council. And I think this is why Jeff is telling us or not hyping up the season, because he felt that we're not gonna like it because of the Final Tribal Council.
It's either that or a long shot. Somebody told Probst, "Hey, you know how you keep saying how you feel about the seasons before they air? Yeah, let's start doing that."
Let's not do this time around.
I mean, it would just be weird if he's. That I mean, it's weird with what he likes. It's usually with the seasons that have filmed, or the seasons that usually air in the winter and spring. Those are the ones where he gets chipper about, or if they already filmed beforehand, then he knows. He already knows the outcome, and he can go, "Well, we've got a great season coming up." Yeah, you can already hear how chipper he was at the One World reunion and whatnot. And coming back to Ty, yeah, it doesn't seem like he's sort of the guy who's not cut out for Survivor, but he did randomly cry at a couple points this episode, much later into the episode, just while he's talking to Aubrey. It sort of came out of nowhere. He just sort of just sobbed.
And Aubrey has a way to talk to him to like get on his side, even when she's betrayed him or he feels like he's betrayed her. She's still able to get on his side and get back on his, I guess, good side. But you can see later on that Ty is actually trying to move against her. It looks like. But let's talk about the challenge, the only challenge we have in this episode, and I don't know about you guys, but for me, this was a really lackluster challenge. It looked really plain, especially based on the different challenges we've had this season and differences in the challenges we had this season. It was just go get a bag of bags and make them into your boxes that you have on the sand. What do you all think about this particular challenge, Mark?
Snooze.
Yeah, there's not much to say. Aaron?
There were one or two funny moments I found during it. I think that's the best that can be said about this challenge. And they're sort of connected to one another. One of them would be when Jeff sort of points out the fact that, you're running out of bags here, guys. And there's just this one shot of Ty for like 3 seconds, and he's just open-mouthed for like 3 seconds, just on the screen for like 3 seconds. And I found that slightly funny. It was very brief. And then the most obvious of them, the other one that I found funny was that this is how they're connected, is that everybody tried so hard that they ran out of bags. All right, we're just going to wait here and watch Joe win it, or not. And if Joe hadn't won it, then I'm sure that everybody. I don't know how Probst is feeling this season, or how he's feeling about Ty or any of the. I mean, there's three women left, so I don't know what's going on with. I mean, if he missed that one shot, he'd be like, crap, we got to come up with something again. Fire the Dream Teamers or whatever.
Well,
the thing is, this challenge was flawed.
Yes.
Yeah, because they could have easily set everybody's targets apart from each other and allow them to retrieve their bags and reshoot, but they didn't.
And that's what I was going to
And
ask. How in how many challenges I've from at least from what I remember, this is the first challenge that they're not allowed to go get their bags after they finish the bags that they've started with. Go ahead and restart again with their own bags. I don't remember seeing this again. I know Aaron, you're a little bit more with as far as history challenges and his Survivor.
Oh
Um,
yeah, because yeah, I rewatched them on. I mean, it's the last few years they've all been the same. Let's be honest. It's just
yeah,
their generic copy of copy. Or I remember as far as Panama or even Cook Islands when the family was watching with me, my sister would always be pointing out, "Oh, they always have to do a puzzle." There's
and
been a hell of a lot of puzzles since she stopped watching. So,
and that's I don't think that that's a problem, the puzzles and all that, but they've at least tried to uh, uh, change it up a little bit. We've seen
yeah,
it
like
even in this season. We've seen the little differences in the same challenges they've had before, and then we have this challenge, and it's I was like, why are they not allowed to go get those bags? Why are they not allowed? Every single time before, I've always seen them. You once you run out your bag, go get the bags you ran out of, and try again until someone gets it. Now we're waiting. I don't know how long for Joe to go back into the jungle, go
and
back.
Jeff is still, I'm sorry, but Jeff is still doing his commentary. It's just, and then there's a camera. The camera's just showing Joe all alone. I thought he was going to have his medevac right there.
That's what I thought.
And then he's just going
hmm
to collapse, and I thought it was going to show elapsed time, 2 hours. Check on Joe, or something like that. But it was just him going up and going, "Come on, you can do this, Joe."
But
And it led to one of the most awkward hashtags ever. I had to look at that a couple of times. What? Did you make a hashtag? Getting it done at 71. Okay, well, that's not going to be trending.
yeah, that's way. First of all, it's really long, and then I can't see anybody using that very much. But yeah, as soon as everybody finished their bag, I turned to my wife and I'm like, "Yeah, he's gonna win this." I just remember in the last episode or the couple episodes ago when he's doing the ring toss. He was the one that brought him and Ty back into that challenge by hitting those rings. And I'm like, well, he it looks like he's pretty good at his aim. It's just a matter of him actually getting the distance on them. And as always, it always comes down to the very last bag, and he was able to make it. And this is when, for a matter, I knew something was up with this episode when, as soon as the post tribal council part of this episode, it went straight into the challenge. And then right after the challenge, they went into the reward, and I just started to see him eat all this meat. And he said, "I don't eat meat." And I remember turning to my wife. I'm like, "Can't you get sick of eating a lot of meat, especially if you haven't eaten for such a long time?" And she's like, "Yeah, you can." And then we've even talked about it before, where in
Yeah.
previous seasons where people go and they load up on sugar or load up on chocolate on whatever, and they get sick. So imagine
And
us. Mhm.
one word, Africa.
Oh yeah.
We
Yeah.
talked about it before with Ethan and Lex going into the village, that they had all this food, and then the cameras just show them running over to the bathroom, like, okay, I got to go throw up another second. And they said in the confessionals that, wow, we really haven't eaten much. It's come to the point where our stomachs have shrunk.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I did mention before that it was the conditions there for Africa were particularly, and the location itself was a bit of a downside too. That wasn't helping too much. But I think in general, yeah, if you don't have the amount of food, yeah, I guess your stomach shrinks. And I think Lex got parasites.
Yeah, he was sick for a while, I think.
And he, from what I'm to understand, he really didn't fully recover until they called him to come back for All Stars.
That's what I heard.
Ooh.
Yeah, it took him a while to get back in into feeling well. Well, I mean, even uh, what's the name, Caleb, Beast Mode Cowboy. He said he was about 5 months, 6 months. I mean, of course, he nearly died. He almost died, and he was in ICU for a couple of I don't remember if it was a couple of days or a couple of weeks, but it was a couple of months before he says that he was able to actually move around, walk around, do something without feeling tired right after doing it. And your body's not used to doing the stuff you're doing out there in Survivor, and then all of a sudden, well, first off, you're tired. You're always out in the sun the whole time. You're starving, and then all of a sudden you gorge yourself with a bunch of food. And this meat, it was not. It was what, medium well at the best. It looked pretty red to me. So, and he kept saying, I don't eat meat, I don't eat meat, and then all of a sudden he's eating a bunch of meat. I mean, it was like, yeah, it's gonna happen. And
I
then,
wanted to go back to well, you can go on. But I want to go back to Caleb and the challenge.
okay, go ahead.
We talked about how this challenge was. This one with Joe was sort of dull,
Hmm.
and I don't know what the challenge is. It and now the people who made up the challenge for when Caleb was evac. Maybe there's something going on with the challenge team where they just don't factor in all the other
Well, I don't.
possibilities.
You got to remember that the challenge team, they eat every day. They're not out there starving. They're not out there trying to survive. They're just there to practice and do stuff, you know. And so I don't think they're as dehydrated. Well, I know they're not as dehydrated. They're not as tired. They're not mentally tired as the survivors are. So their practice runs and so forth is going to be a lot different from someone who's been out there trying to on Survivor for a couple of days, couple of weeks, almost towards the end.
And I think with them having, I mean, I don't know how many other people knew that there were going to be 3 medevacs. I mean, we knew that it was going to be something happening a lot this season, at least. How I found out was just as a warning to other people out there, avoid Inside Survivor. If you don't want to know anything about any upcoming seasons, try and stay away from that. But it was just an interview from Mark Burnett. He just said natural. He just said it like it, with any. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the tone. I read it in an article, so I don't know the tone of his voice. But it seemed like he just went, "Oh yeah, there's 3 medevacs, the most we've had ever." Wow. Okay. Well, at least I don't know who. I mean, as long as I don't know who wins. Okay. So, and when Caleb was medevac, and we saw how bad that was, and then looking back to see, ooh, this happened, 3 years ago with the French version, with the guy who had a heart attack, and then the doctor who committed suicide in that whole ordeal
At the same location.
at the same exact location. And just, oh, geez, what's it going to be like with these other? I'm thinking, what's it going to be like with these other 2? Compared to Caleb, okay, how did Neil go? He had some sort of a bug bite.
He had like Jonathan Penner.
Yeah, he had some sort of he had some
He's
sort
got the Jonathan Penner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, the Jonathan Penner.
And he had some bruises and whatnot that need to be looked at. It was nothing as serious as Caleb. Joe probably has the worst and most embarrassing of the medevacs, is that it comes down to one thing: beef. It's
Yeah.
just okay. So that's what they consider medevacs. I mean, when you hear medevac, oh no.
Well,
we always see them in this sort of near-death experience. I mean, with Scoopin and Swan. I mean, those were pretty close before Caleb.
I think it's better than Bruce's medevac though.
Bruce's is more entertaining. I mean, Shane's naked and Courtney's singing, and Bruce said, "Please, no, please stop, please stop." Oh,
But when before the Jeff even comes to pretty much take him out. Everyone's already crying and hugging, and they're already giving them their goodbyes already. So it seemed to me like he had already made up his mind from that point on, that he was gonna have to leave. And I mean, I don't know. I've never had that problem, so I can't attest to the pain that he's feeling. But later on that night, Jeff comes, and it feels for me. I was like, I think Jeff is stalling it. He's doing. He probably thinks like there's only been one challenge. There's not that much footage for for this episode. I know he doesn't know exactly what's gonna go in or whatever, but I felt like he was stalling for that so that we would have more stuff on the episode itself.
Jeff Probe Show.
The probe show.
The next generation.
So
the thing that cracked me up about him, the thing that cracked me up of what Jeff said. I mean, I can understand that if you're with Joe all that time, and you're there with him 24 hours a day, and I mean, it was probably like day 35 or whatever, and you're with him for that long. I mean, for Aubrey, I can tell she was really, really upset because she had been with him since the beginning.
Well, even Sydney, who says that he reminded her of her grandpa,
Mr. Joe.
Yeah, Mr. Joe, and it looks like she did have some respect for him, and she looked up to him. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to pile on Joe or anything like that. We've already said what we felt about Joe in the previous episodes and so forth.
I wanted to point out the funny thing with Jeff of what he said. I mean, with him being 71 and all, that's pretty encouraging. I mean, that's something to look up to. But what Jeff said was that he's just sitting there, and at one point says, and there was another thing that I remembered, but I'll get to this one first. Jeff, okay, so when he's giving his whole spiel, it's Jeff Probe Show, and he's saying, oh, people are going to look up to you. You're going to be an inspiration for a bunch of people when this is on, or something like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, but we don't know a damn thing about him. Until now, we don't know anything about how can he be my idol if 71 going out, hashtag getting it done at 71. Okay, I get all that. That's pretty motivating right there. But before this episode, we had no idea who he was, except that he was. I mean, he had his. I'll admit, he did have his little arc that he didn't get along with Liz, and then he did some of his FBI work on Peter. And then he just sort of, was there. I don't know if that's inspirational. It's just.
I don't know if y'all heard his exit interviews, but he said he's willing to go out there again.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow.
I don't think they'll give him another opportunity, but.
No.
Well, he is the 5th place goddess, so which is a coveted position in POS. That the person who finishes in 5th place is a goddess, even if they are a guy. The other thing I wanted to mention about Joe, when Jeff talked, and the one preview that I kept talking about, and funny enough, people were starting to talk about it as this episode came along. They're just going, remember the preview shown at Cambodia that I've been talking about this all year. You just repeat that clip of you're saying that tonight. You're taking him out of this game. You're taking him out of this game. So I keep repeating it. You're taking him out of this game. And he said him. But then so in the preview he says him, but last night when I was waiting for that shot, it's like the one in the preview. Jeff actually said, you're taking Joe out of the game.
I think they used the audio from when they took out Neil.
That's possible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So while the whole reward challenge is going on, we see Ty and Michelle back on their beach and doing the Thai massage and
yes.
forth. I know they were trying to trick us into seeing to maybe us thinking that Joe would not be medevaced. Let me ask you, Mark, were you tricked into thinking that something might go on?
Not really.
This is a very straightforward episode. We see Michelle and Ty get closer, even if it's by convenience. They know they're going to need to work together if they're going to want to get Sydney, Aubrey, or Joe out. And I think Ty said he's willing to go with Joe all the way because he feels like he could win against Joe, and he needs Michelle to do it. But at the end, it doesn't matter because we have a final four because of the medevac, and it's Ty, Sydney, Aubrey, and Michelle. So,
Can you please talk more about Ty and Michelle, because I think that was the highlight of last night's episode.
It's really the only thing that really happened.
Because it was the thing that, I mean, when they were showing previews for it on the Next Time on Survivor segment, I mean, the thing that really almost, the one that had me raising my eyebrow was seeing Ty sitting on Michelle's back, just thinking, ooh, what kind of kinky stuff's going to go on here? And it's just like, ooh, it's massaging. Okay, they're. So I'm just thinking to myself, okay, it's makeup sex. Okay, it's makeup Survivor sex. And then perfect timing and perfect, and the editors deserve a medal here. All right. Mark the chicken comes in and Ty remarks on it going, oh, Mark's here to join us. I literally lost it. I laughed out loud. It was just, I was already having these, very kinky this is getting really kinky overtones. And then Mark the chicken decides to come in, like.
All in all, this episode.
Survivor 3 ways.
All in all, what was your feeling after watching this episode, Mark?
I mean, there is something to be said about Joe being out there at this age, but this, I mean, I've said this on Twitter. This is a very unexpected medevac. The medical issue that took him out really surprised me. I mean, who knew you can get taken out of Survivor for constipation?
Other than that one time.
Bruce.
Oh yeah, well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the thing that was cracking me up was that, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to add, the one thing that they were bringing up all the, like, 2 times or 3 times, like he got really, like Joe got really specific as to what was wrong with him, telling his primate. Like he just went, oh, it feels like my prostate, and I'm just thinking, somebody uttered the word prostate on Survivor.
Well, he said that he felt that his stomach was so bloated that it was pushing up against his bladder, and pushing up against his prostate, which was causing the pain, which in turn was not allowing him to pee. I think is that what I think. I don't know how all that actually works, so I don't know if he was right, but I feel like he already had that issue from before, and he already knew what it was because he was already like, that's what it is. It's like when I had my gallbladder taken out before I would have gallbladder attacks. I knew what it was before the actual pain came. So it's like he already had that issue beforehand, and he was having that come back. He already knew the pain. So, like I said, there's not much more to talk about that in this episode as that I can remember at least. Mark wasn't here last week for the Jason boot. I wanted to just get your impressions, Mark, on last week's episode.
6 words. Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Now,
that's all I have to say about it.
Did your opinion at least change a little bit or anything like that after seeing the episode, or did it pretty much remain the same?
I mean, I didn't really paint him as completely evil in my mind, from the beginning anyway. So he was just kind of meh for me. I mean, I know they're they're big fans of his out there,
Yeah. I
especially in POS.
I can't I can't say I hated him. I can't say that I always agreed with what he said, but I didn't really dislike him. I didn't like what he was doing that some of the time out there. I didn't like the sabotage, although I think it was more Scott doing it, but but I didn't dislike him either. I just think that's just the way he is, and if that's I can't say it's a defense, but I don't know how to say other than he was just being himself out there, I guess. And that, from what I've heard, that's what he says, that he was just being himself, and he's actually glad that they portrayed him the way they portrayed him. So that's kind of weird. I've never usually this kind of edit usually get Dan Foley. My edit was unfair. Well, come on, you gave them stuff to. I mean, they can edit it all they want, but at the end, you said what you said, and they were able to use it because you said it. you know. So
I think he's trying very hard to be seen this way. So
yeah,
if he's satisfied in the way he's being portrayed, then that's what he was trying to put out.
Yep, he was trying to be. I think he was. I don't buy that this is him completely, but he was trying to be a character, and he that's what he was trying to do, and that's what he did, and he might get called, he might get asked to return because of it. I don't know him personally. I can't say he is nice. I can't say he is a good guy. I can't, because I don't. The only thing I know from him is from the show, and I mean I don't know. We'll see.
Watch.
The what?
He and Scott might be more fun to watch on a rewatch.
Yeah.
Because when you're watching the season, you really get into it. You start to get frustrated.
Well,
at
it's like
some people, and then you rewatch it. Oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
Well, it's like you said. Was it last week or the week before that when you rewatch Thailand, when you first didn't like Clay, but now you like Clay. That happens. It does happen sometimes, and sometimes I feel like seasons that I like were not as great the second time I saw him or the third time I saw him. It's just the rewatch does give you a different picture of the season.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Scott and one person in a YouTube comment, I think said it best. I want to sort of echo or repeat it, that and try and build upon it with sort of said when Jason went to Ponderosa, I think the thing you can get from Jason and Scott's connection is that the guys genuinely like each other.
Yeah.
And surviving being this whole, I mean, maybe they would have been friends outside the real world. It's not like with Richard and Rudy or
no
JT and Steven or Crystal and Kenny. But the guys just truly like each other.
Yeah,
not in a sexual way.
This is just I'm about to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they would have liked each other if they would have met outside the game, but the chance of them meeting outside the game is I don't think it'd be high. And for me, I said it before, the thing about Survivor that I like the most is bringing the people from the different walks of life, bringing the people from different views, and seeing how they react. That's why I like Ty and Beast Mode at the beginning of the season. I really like that relationship. Rudy and Richard, like you said, the people you said, those are the people and those are the relationships that I really liked about this show, which we see less and less each season, I believe, because I feel it's getting more of the strategy. And don't get me wrong, I like strategy, but I would still like some of that original content or original feeling from people getting to know each other and getting more of the story behind the people.
Yeah, I think there was a missed opportunity. I want one more thing to squeeze in here. I think there was a missed opportunity with Blood versus Water, the original that is, with Sierra and Caleb, Caleb Banks. And, Uh, with Sierra coming uh, from what I know about Laura, she's very conservative, not approving of gay marriage and it was sort of Jeff sort of teased the idea of, ooh, maybe, Sierra and Caleb, that would be wonder what Laura would think of that. What her mother would think of that. They became friends or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. We just didn't see it. I mean, that could have been, with the strategy talks. I mean, but that season it was a redemption. It had Redemption Island in that, which is already a time killer. So.
Well, that's why I think people, as much as the Redemption Island seasons may not be looked on as favorites to most people, the whole Aussie thing, figuring out a way to use it, Tyson successfully using it, finding a way to eliminate people or not eliminate people because of because you know how Tyson was. It's like we should eliminate this person, but then we have to figure out, are they going to trade with their loved one, and then they might come back in the game. And I think he was able to walk the line and figure that out. I think that actually killed Redemption Island, other than fans. So I'm glad that they were able to figure it out and kill it.
Well, Mike White also did something. The guy who wrote School of Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can thank him too. And he also likes Final Twos, apparently.
Yeah. So let's get back to the finale that's coming up next week. All year or all season long, I've been asking you, who do you think you're going to win? I'm not going to ask you that this time around. I'm going to ask you, who do you want to win? Doesn't matter if you think they're going to win it or not. Who do you want to win? Mark?
Ooh. I'm starting to shift towards either Aubrey or Michelle. I mean, I know I've been Team Ty this entire season, but I mean, he hasn't been strategically solid, and he's been really emotional with his decisions, and I think the jury's going to see right through that. But even after all this, and I think Michelle has a really good, Sophie G. Clark kind of game, where we never see a damn thing, and then in the end, she just goes in and just snatches it and snipes it. So I'm gonna. It's gonna be very interesting if Michelle wins. Let me put it this way. So I want to see a Michelle win.
Aaron, what do you think?
I think either of the four would be well welcomed into the Survivor Winners Club. But if I had to choose one based on the whole overall story, Aubrey, because she has been through a lot. Mm-hmm. From going from her something I actually forgot about, that she actually was struggling in that first episode, and Debbie sort of gave her a pep talk, I guess, and she didn't leave. She was almost going to go if Neil hadn't been medevac.
Yeah.
Before that, she crossed out Julia's name and got rid of Peter. She danced around like a flapper girl from the 1920s, and she
did the Urkel.
Her closest allies. I mean, now Joe's out, and I mean, she's been through. Oh, and she made references to the Oregon Trail.
Yes.
So I'm feeling with that storyline. I'm thinking, yeah, that'd be very satisfying.
Yeah, to me right now, it is going to be Aubrey, the one that I want to win. Pretty much for the same reason. You pretty much stole my argument, my reasoning, right from under me. Like I said right now, and then in the last episode, she looked like she was dancing the Urkel, that little jig she was doing.
I don't know what that was. That was kind of thrown in randomly. Joe's struggling, and they're sort of talking about stuff.
I think they
She's
just
never
needed
gonna live
a.
that challenge down.
The thing
I,
I would say about Aubrey is that the thing that I am a bit disappointed about is that what made me really like her, and for the record, when the cast is announced, I watch all the pre-show interviews and I graph them by how much I like them in four different categories. I put them in like, okay, 50-50, or meh, which would be spelled MEH, and dislike. Three of the four finalists were in my like column, and that one person that wasn't in there was Michelle, because hers really threw me off with all the Harry Potter fangasming. But with Aubrey, her video I really liked because she seemed like a true fan. She had a little bit of a quirky side, and I think she mentioned Greg Bewis in her video,
I think
right?
so.
And she gave a very interesting answer for the ridiculous question of which Survivor contestant do you think you're like? Well, Cochran and Sophie had a love child or something like
Yeah,
she's going to be a character, and we really didn't get to see that quirky side of her, but
we're seeing
she's
it
had a
more now.
story.
We're seeing it more now. Uh,
Yeah.
so that's gonna we're gonna wrap it up here for this episode, and I'm hoping for a great finale. I'm hoping Aubrey wins. So we two of us are picking Aubrey. Mark is picking Michelle. Next week we'll have a finale episode, and Rachel's actually going to try to join us
Oh, yay.
yeah. So we'll have four people next week if she can join us for that episode. So we'll I can't wait to get to that episode. I really want to. It's bittersweet because I want to see the finale already, but at the same time, we're gonna be a stretch without Survivor.
Well, that's what rewatches are for.
So, Aaron, any last words for this episode?
And as well as for me, the episode in May. As far as the episode goes, I think it was filler, but I think there were some little nuggets hidden in there that I found to be interesting or hilarious. In terms of me, I mentioned this last week. I once again took part in David Johnson's Survivor Showdown. It's my second time being a contestant, third time being on there. The first time I was there, I was the fact checker. I guess he got rid of it because I really didn't do anything. But yeah, that was filmed last week, and then right after that, I did the podcast for last week's episode. So it was like back to back. I was busy with Survivor stuff, but that showdown, it has not been uploaded as far as I know. But keep an eye out on that if you want to watch Survivor Showdowns. Just I guess go on YouTube and look it up. Survivor Showdowns. I think it has its own YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. That would actually be better if you subscribe to it. Then you can look in your subscriptions, and there it is. I don't know. It should. I think you'd have it up soon.
And Mark, what have you been up to? What you've been a little bit busy, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been a little busy, but whenever I can, I'm on Twitter while I watch these episodes. So it's kind of like live recapping, live quote unquote. I'm gonna try to, because a lot of season finales are gonna be this week. Season finale of Big Brother Canada just happened, and season finale for The Amazing Race is happening tomorrow. And so I'm gonna try to squeeze these two in, and then try to do like a finale recap for these two.
Awesome.
Someday.
And both Aaron and Mark's Twitter handles are below their pictures, as well as mine. As you can catch me on @Perspective here on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and of course, like I said, on nerdfeed.com, where you can see all our videos. And subscribe to us, hashtag us Spice Shock Pod or Spice Shack Podcast. Let us know what you think, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.